63 years of growing as a nation, and Nigeria, the giant of Africa, has seen good days and honestly better days. Now, to some, the better days seem to be behind, and regardless of this year's theme for celebration being renewed hope for unity and prosperity, a lot of people in a somber mood have reflected and wondered whether or not we have anything to celebrate on the first day of October on the challenges the country is facing. And we are going to be taking a look at what we have been able to achieve despite all of that. A lot of people still feel like there is something to celebrate. I mean, it's not easy, scaling through for 63 years, despite the speculations that Nigeria was going to melt away as of 2015. The president also gave his speech, President Bola Tinubu, whose administration resumed office after he took his oath of office on the 29th of May, 2023. And of course, he has introduced new reforms and made new appointments since then. Well, without wasting much time, I'll be joined first by Katch Ononuju, Public Affairs Analyst in Abuja. Thank you so much, Mr. Katch, for joining us. Mr. Katch, can you confirm?
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, it's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for joining us. Also, we have Mayokun, Economist and Political Analyst from Abuja as well. Mayokun, thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. All right, gentlemen, we're talking about the 63 year celebration of independence of Nigeria, the West African country. And, when the president's speech came, it kind of brought mixed reactions. The president did give a speech, and we will be taking a look at that. But first, let's talk about the increase of salaries for the low-grade workers. At first, 25,000 naira was announced, and then eventually it was changed to 35,000 naira. How far will this increase go in helping people generally? Let's start with you, Katch.
Okay, this was expected, but I will tell you it's too little too late. If truly you want to help the population, you must also adjust and look at the adjustments in inflation. Today, if you had to look at a bag of rice that was 8 naira, 8,000, and suddenly now you're adjusting it for hardship adjustments, and it's today 50 naira or 45 naira. I think you need to look at the fourfold or threefold increase and be able to also do that in workers' take-home salary for them to be able to have enough disposable income that could actually allow them compete in today's prices. So I don't think that is good enough. But then those cash transfers are not what will get the economy properly. It is good policies. And I blame President Tinubu for being part of the crisis. He kept mute and didn't say anything while Buhari set on destroying the sectors and institutions of state. So I think he is part of those who brought this hardship on the people by his deciding to keep quiet, because the essence of politics is to win election and be able to use your position to construct benefits and growth and advantages for your constituents. And he didn't do that by keeping quiet and allowing Buhari to damage things so much so that nobody can be able now to get a grip on the economic spendings and the way the economy is going.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ononuju, for that. Now, we're still talking about the administration and what happened with that speech and its subsequent implementation is a typical example of what people have complained about for the longest time. And we're talking about the issue of accountability and presenting a unified front or united front in Nigerians. 25,000 naira was announced to help the low-grade workers, and then less than 24 hours later, it was changed to 35,000 naira. And even at that, a lot of people still don't know whether to expect any changes, whether or not there are certain circumstances that can affect that price. So in terms of accountability, Mayokun, what would you say is the stance of the country in general?
Well, I don't think it is an issue of accountability. The president made some announcements yesterday, but there were other things on the table. And when there are two sides, you have to balance and make concessions as the need arise. So while, in my own opinion, the 25,000 naira that was announced was a bit too small than what I expected, given the inflation that my other colleague has mentioned, I would still say it's a step in the right direction. There are information available to people in government, to statisticians dealing with public policy that we may not have. As an economist, I know that during the Udoji Awards in 1976 or thereabouts, it led to massive inflation because government decided to throw money at the people. Those are the kind of things that has to be considered by whoever is in government. So they are careful not to precipitate inflation by just increasing money across board. So I see this as staggered increases, just to make sure that maybe inflation is not brought upon us. And at the end of the day, the little that we have saved, we begin to squander it and cause further damage. At the end of the day, the money doesn't even have value. So while I don't want to 100% be on the side of government, I think the negotiations will continue. Thank God the NLC and TUC have been on the necks of the president and the presidency as it were. So they are still talking. Let's see what can be done to avert the strike of tomorrow. Because if you really ask me, I don't think strike is what we need. But if it serves as a threat to get the government on its toes to negotiate, at least with the threat of strike, it has moved from 25,000 to 35,000. They should move away just from the money issues and look at other things that they can do to affect the lives of the common people. They also mentioned that they were removing VAT from diesel. That would be around maybe 50, 100 naira. It's going somewhere. They are talking about the CNG, that's the compressed natural gas for maybe alternative fuel for vehicles. So those are the things they should be looking at. We are here, Buhari is gone. The thing about power is when you are maybe in the same party with the person who is in power, you can't be seen to be antagonizing him at every beck and call. So he's done what he could do. Now he's on the seat. And thank goodness he also said that we should not pity him. So I'm not really pitying him. You ask for this, you know the rot in the system, now fix it and get the right people to fix it with you. It's a good thing. It started with maybe people that we can say are good members of the team that can get things done. The Cardosos, the Kekerekus, and all those other people that are in the cabinet. Let's see what they can do in the next 2-3 years. But people are suffering and they really have to do this thing like it should have been done yesterday.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Ilu, for that. Now, back to you, Mr. Ononuju. So many sectors in Nigeria are no less embarrassing, talking about the health sector, the education sector, finance, more importantly, and looking at some of the steps that the new administration has been taking, even before, the October 1st celebrations. Are we expecting a positive outlook anytime soon?
Well, I will simply tell you what you're telling me is that the system has not worked. And since we know that there's that suspicion that Tinubu and those around him are reform-minded, we don't want to say it. We believe when they are properly situated, they might not see that agreeing to move forward on reforms may be a polite strategy for him to be able to buy some quality of validation. Because right now, the legitimacy around the government is very thick due to the electoral contest and the way it went and the riggings that followed it. So I believe he needs the trust of the population for him to even be able to sit down and to bring out policies. As you've seen right now, there are no policies. It is like a fire brigade operation. You remove subsidy, you bring it back, and you try to do minimum wage 25,000. The next hours is 35,000. These things are not well thought of. First, he said it is dash to the very lowest workers. Then he said no, it's a conversion to addition of 35,000 to all of salaries around the world. Let's have a stable decision-making process. This is a fire brigade approach. It simply tells you that these things are not well thought after. Do you need organized labor to do what they normally will do for you now to be reacting for us to actually say, that means you don't have policies. These are reactions simply because of labor's current position. Yes, because in the very first period of the APC administration, labor was very comatose. So, and that was why you saw Buhari did a lot of things that were, even in some calculations, very treasonous. And yet he got away with it because we had a very lame opposition. But now that we seem to have a robust opposition and Labour also waking up, I am very optimistic that add that to the current organic awareness within the social space, Nigeria is on its way to a better society. Labour just talked 1 week, 1 day, and the president quickly changed and said, okay, from 25, 35, from being constitutional, it is permanent. Let us have proper opposition. That's what makes democracy tick. The past 8 years with close to no opposition was the reason Buhari set purpose towards destroying Nigeria. And I believe now we should all come back and mind Nigeria. Let it be a serious business for all of us. Don't be absent-minded. No, stay engaged. And that's the beauty. What makes a democracy work very well is the activities of a very virile opposition. And I believe we're beginning to have good opposition right now all along the place.
Great. All right. Thank you for that, Mr. Ononuju. Now, also, we're talking about the speech that the president gave. And one of the reforms that he also announced was the introduction of compressed natural gas buses to reduce transportation costs. 2 questions. How can this work? And then secondly, he announced, the compressed natural gas buses. He didn't announce when. He just said very soon. When can we expect this? That, again, brings me back to the issue of accountability that I mentioned earlier. It's like we don't have a specific date for anything that we expect. We just, hear that something is in the works, and then we're hoping that it happens soon. So what is your take on that, Mr. Ilo?
Well, if I take you back to what I said, when you talk of accountability, there's the part of intention, there's the part of logistics. He might have it in mind that, okay, the thing has been paid for, and they tell you that whatever ship is bringing your items to the country is being delayed. You will recollect that for about 1 week after finishing at an event abroad, we couldn't see the president. It was later we were hearing that there was an issue with air travel that he had that kept him for days before being able to have some permits to fly past some countries. So those are the kind of issues that you don't envisage. They call some things force majeure, even in business. So I know for him to say soon, that means some processes have been put in place. Soon can never be 1 year. It will hardly be 6 months. So I want to believe that when they said soon, he didn't want to give specifics. So that if he tells you, okay, by end of next week and there's a delay on the ICs, then we say, the president was lying to us. So we give them, I know that there's a trust deficit between the government and the governed in Nigeria, and there's a lot. People's expectations, at least a section of the country, didn't materialize, and they thought maybe that was the expectation of the whole country. Some people voted for this person. Some people wanted him to be their president, and even if things don't work out exactly as the plan, they know that, okay, this person is working on their behalf. There are people that are made. I think the current president is one of them. He didn't need money. He didn't need any other thing. He just wanted this position so that he could prove his method that, okay, I've been practicing, I've been trying to be president of Nigeria for a while. Give me this position. Now he has it. Now we can judge him. If after 4 years he fails, then we point at him and say, okay, see where you have brought us. But if he's able, which I believe anyway, that he will prove us, prove his critics wrong and make Nigeria proud. Because if it's good for us, it's good for our generation, it's good for the generations yet unborn. We are looking at them, the people coming behind us are looking at us. The wave of Japa, we want it to end so that people can come back and rebuild the country. He was even in the US recently asking Nigerians to come back. I'm sure he's telling them because he believes that with the kind of policy he has in mind, God helping him, things will work out and we'll all be the better off for it. So accountability-wise, I would think while not trying to be too specific, we should give him the benefit of the doubt and wait for a while and see how things pan out.
All right. Thank you for that. Now, Mr. Ononuju, we've heard so much words. We've talked about things that we're going to do. We've talked about things that are in the works. But some people have also said that we have more words than we have actions. Are we hoping for actions regarding these things? How fast can we be expecting these words, these promises to be acted upon?
Well, I like this question because when it comes to dealing with politicians, I always advise them don't listen to their words, look at their actions. If you look at the actions of the APC for the past 8 years, it's been more of promises, rhetoric, and no action. So, trying to now think that Tinubu has some magic wand suddenly to make the APC machine something like a bullet train. He had it since, and the past 8 years, he did not bring it out as leader. I don't agree. It's like the stories of inaugurate me, everything will be calm. It will not be. It's not. It is from one problem to the other, instability due to the processes that he used in coming to power. And that's what you cannot pretend or wish away. No, no matter what you tease that people wanted Tinubu, the right thing is to go through the proper process, not damaging all the laws, undermining the democracy, and then you say some people, no, there are rules, there are processes, and that's the reasons for the contest. So we all want a successful Nigeria. I would want a president that does well because a rising tide lifts all boats, and my own boat will also be lifted. But not when things are done in a way where people, yes, who may have had the idea and ambition of being president, but you need to be voted for. You need to be selected by the people before you can emerge. That's the process. So you don't just come there, lump yourself, and think it's all right. Now the country is under instability. So I don't know how we're going to get out of this. It's not my problem. It is caused by those who undermine the democratic process, and I expect them to know what to do to fix it. Right now, you can see this is 3 months going into the new administration, and what we have is acrobatics in economic policy. You have to think it out. Are you removing subsidy and then working to keep it that way, or you're removing it to bring it back simply because you see a spike in the exchange rate mechanism? What are we doing? Something is not holding. So I don't want to buy all those stories and rhetorics. No, as far as I'm concerned, I am very happy that we suddenly have a robust opposition, plus the organic movement on the street by the youth, which is actually across the Sahel. So it's not just a Nigerian issue, it is a Sahel-wide movement for a better society. So Mr. Tinubu has a lot of baggage from where he's coming from and the group that he belongs to. The earlier he begins to gain the confidence of Nigerians, the better for Nigeria, the better for the administration, the better for our country, and the better for the sub-region.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ononuju, for that. Now, speaking of baggage, I like that you didn't mention that. Mr. Ilo, what do you say to the school of thought that the Constitution of Nigeria in itself is flawed? And until we go back to the unitary form of government that we had, before independence, and even when we just gained independence, we will not be able to get it right?
Well, they said be careful what you wish for you might just get it. On the issue of constitution being flawed, every constitution is flawed, and that is why you have amendments. Even in America, you have close to 20 of those amendments. There's no perfect document anywhere in the world, so everything is subject to amendment. And my colleague in this on the other side was talking about reforms across the Sahel. I don't think military incursions into politics are what he wants to celebrate at this stage. It looks good. We've had a civil war in this country before because some people refused to accommodate opposition in politics. So we should be careful the way we make propaganda, the way we mistake blackmail for opposition. No, that is not vibrancy in democracy. We should be loyal. Even in America, about 2 years or thereabouts ago, a certain president lost power on his re-election. Up till now, he has not agreed that he lost that election. So that is America, the passion of democracy in the world. So every democracy will be contested for. The fact that you are popular among your kith and kin does not make you a nationally represented person or the person that the whole country has voted for. The elections are conducted via some rules, via some constitutional means, because we are practicing a democracy. So if the courts have pronounced that, okay, this person has won by virtue of this, this and that, then we should agree, despite our differences. We can't run a parallel government. We can't put the government, we can't be asking for military incursion into politics because we lost an election. So we should learn to be a good loser so that when you lose this time, another time you win. Abraham Lincoln of blessed memory lost a Senate election just 2 years before he became president. But when you destroy the goodwill that you enjoy in your earlier attempts to become president, and at the end of the day, you destroy that goodwill, and you are now wondering why people don't want you in power, we should be careful the way we play our politics. It's not only politics or democracy when we win. When it's as imperfect as it is, when democracy comes and you lose, you bid your time, you do whatever you have not done before. I've mentioned it in several fora in earlier interviews that presidency in Nigeria is a negotiated document. You don't just get it. Buhari tried with all the support. He was like a demigod. 3 attempts in the north trying to be president of Nigeria. He never got it until he had some strategic handshake with people from the south that gave him the presidency. The same thing that Tinubu has done. You can't stay in one zone of the country or one ethnic group or one religion and think somehow the groundswell of support that you have will somehow catapult you. I don't buy that.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. And I really do want to appreciate you both, gentlemen. Katch Ononuju, Public Affairs Analyst from Abuja, and of course, Mayokun Ilo, Economist and Political Analyst also from Abuja. Thank you so much for your contributions on this particular topic on the show. All right, you're still watching Village Square. It's a pleasure. You're still watching Village Square Africa, and when we come back, we'll look at the spike in Kenya's inflation rate, especially as of the month of September, and we'll try and understand what happened. Stay with us.